Welcome and thank you for joining us once again at Industry Insight. My name is Sean Marshall. I'm the founder and director of Prosumer Connect. We welcome back today Peter Rodgers from NetAssess. Peter, thanks again for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And today we're unpacking maybe a contentious discussion, something that's not ideally, everybody's still questioning and asking a lot of questions, but I think we're going to unpack it nonetheless. So today we're going to touch on the points as we have with previous experts as to the impact of the Competition Commission changes in respect to the right of repair. So Pete, putting you on the spot here, this is bound to be implemented, if I'm not mistaken, the 1st of July. Okay, and how do you understand the impact specific to the short-term insurance company?
For the short-term insurance, very little. But when you read the document and you read it in its entirety, it's quite a confusion.
Okay.
So what they should have done is split mechanical to panel beating, to auto body repairs. That's where a lot of the issues, and they refer to one clause, but further down they refer to another clause.
Okay.
So in our world, I took it in the spirit in which he intended.
Okay.
So if you just read the document standalone and you go, X, Y, Z, no, this is rubbish, this is this. But if you look at what he's trying to achieve, with the one big clause there where he says insurance work must remain as is. So when reading the guidelines now with that frame of mind, you would go, what is he trying to achieve? Well, what he's trying to achieve is the right to repair.
Okay.
So everybody has a right to repair, whether it's the mechanics or the panel beaters. But he understands that in insurance world and a client who's not insured, an uninsured client, two different people.
So if I understand you correctly, Lee, just so that I can understand it. So it's all about the warranty of the vehicle. We buy a car and you've got a specific warranty of 5 years or 3 years or whatever the case might be based on the manufacturer. During that period, you have to always do all repairs, all services, everything you have to do it with that. So what I understand from what you're saying is it's very much focused on, the original equipment manufacturers and saying, but you can't hold that over a client for the period of 5 years and hold that warranty issue against it. Is that what I'm understanding?
100%. So what he's trying to say is, if a client wants his car fixed and wants to use an aftermarket part, an alternative part, he should be allowed to. It should not affect. But further in his warranty, he's saying, further in the document, he's saying, but the manufacturer has the right to null and void certain things, but they must quantify why it would null and void it. So again, quite open-ended. We've asked for clarity, we're waiting on certain clarity. I think a lot of this is designed for mainly the mechanics, for the extended motor plans that you get, service plans. So a lot of the previously disadvantaged repairers are saying, but now we can't service a Hyundai for 8 years. Because it comes with an 8-year warranty.
Because that's a fundamental purpose and intent with this new guidelines is to open up the market, and especially like you say, is previously disadvantaged environments, because you couldn't touch that car for 8 years long. So now, and let's be honest, carrying an OEM badge as a panel beater costs a lot of money. Can you explain just to the audience, why does it cost a panel beater so much money to get that recognition as brand approval by X, Y, and Z manufacturer?
Well, what happens is it's the equipment level. So the manufacturers are safeguarding the people who repair the vehicle to make sure it can be repaired back to factory specifications. I mean, we'll use one, which we won't name, but their welder is 380,000 rand.
Wow.
You need a 380,000 rand. You need an air con in the mixing bank. You have to use waterborne paints. You have to have grey floors, yellow stickers. You've got to have signs, safety. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on and on. So manufacturer approvals is expensive. But then you've got the guys who've got 15, 18 of them because they don't want to let a car go. It's their bread and butter. So they need the manufacturer's approval. The right to repair is more focused on out of warranty cars. So the way I interpret it, where they say in the previous disadvantage, if they meet a certain criteria, they should have the right to be on everybody's panel. They should have the right to repair. It's a good thing, bad thing, that's your personal view. But the criteria still will have to be met. So the interpretation of that, the guy working from his double garage can now fix the car, it's incorrect.
I hear what you're saying, because that I was going there, Peter, but let me first just ask you this. So from 1 July, technically, you don't need to be X, Y, and Z manufacturer approved. You can order even the original part from them, and they have to be able to supply it to you, because I understand the way that you have to have OEM approval before you can order the parts and get the parts. But from 1 July, any panel beater that is reputable can order those parts directly from the manufacturer.
The way the interpretation is, you can, but the manufacturer still has the right to cancel the warranty and the motor plan.
And here's my big question. Who gives that guarantee?
The problem comes in, we are all responsible for anything in there. So if you read in the Act, in the terms and conditions, the client can hold the insurance company liable, the manufacturer liable, myself as an assessor liable, anybody, the parts supplier, anybody in the chain can be held jointly responsible if the client is unhappy. I mean, one of the clauses in there, which I find quite funny, is the panel beater must be able and explain to the client if he can and can't, and tell them the pitfalls of using an out of warranty repairer. Which panel beater? He's going to want the job. He's not going to tell the client. He says he must have certain insurance. So in our world, we're going to have to veto every single repairer we come across. So if a client says, well, he's my friend, I want him to do it, okay, we need to veto. He must supply documents, he must do this. There's some good things in the document that was needed. But I mean, one of the other things that I find really strange is, say you can't be on the panel for longer than 5 years. Well, if you're a Mercedes-Benz or BMW approved repairer in PE, East London, George, all of these towns, there's only one Mercedes-Benz approved repairer. There's only one BM approved repairer in that area. They're going to be on the panel forever.
And that's where I'm going. I'm trying to fathom this. Number one, I'm still not comfortable with the fact of who carries the responsibility, because I think as a responsible client, you need to take some ownership. And if you say you want X, Y, and Z to repair that car, there must be some responsibility onto you for making that decision. But let me park that point. You can see I'm struggling with that concept, because I can just imagine everybody's going to be up in arms because friend can fix it and the insurance company is being held liable. Because this leads me to my next question. Will we not see that more and more insurance companies, unfair question to you, offering a form of a disclaimer to say, you can fix it wherever you want, but here's the money?
My understanding is, if it's going to affect the warranty or the things by somebody repairing it, unless the manufacturers come out and give us the guidelines, disclaimers will have to be signed. There is no ifs or buts about it. There's no way we can all be held jointly responsible because the client wants to use his friend, which they're welcome to. But if the friend doesn't repair the car and he goes in for the service and they cancel his motor plan, we can't be held responsible for that, because then the insurance company would end up having to buy the car back because we have to put the client back in the position they were. So I think disclaimers are going to be even more used by the insurers, but we will also have to educate the client and explain to the client why we feel they shouldn't go down that route. And that's all time and resources.
In one of the videos we created, or CPD training speed, maybe I'm wrong in doing that, but I encourage clients to use the insurance company's panel generally because they hold the responsibility. All I'm caring about as an insured client is that my vehicle is fixed to the appropriate standard when I get it. And when I get there and it's not ready, it's easy. I don't speak to the panel beater. I phone my insurer and say, sort this nonsense out, give me car hire. I sit back and chat. And with this, it just seems like there's not clear clarity about it. And I do believe if we go the disclaimer route, which insurance companies, I'm assuming would have their fullest right, whether clients are going to make informed decision, but it comes back to the point of, clients need to take some ownership in this.
100%, but at least we will be discussing with the client and giving them the technical point of view and giving them the right advice. Okay. Where before, a disclaimer, you want to use your friend, no, we don't give them a reason why. Yeah. Now we will force to give them a reason, which is a good thing. It's a good thing for the industry. But also, it's a scary thing that people will take brand new cars, BMWs, Mercedes-Benz, have them fixed maybe backyard, and it will damage the value of their car.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying every person out of warranty. I've got some great shops that are out of warranty, fix cars, beautiful. But the technology, so the newer cars need certain technology and equipment. I mean, if you just do VW, if you use on the aluminium, there's only a handful of aluminium approved repairers. Yeah. Their panel beaters have been sent to Germany, been trained, certified to work on aluminium cars. So if that goes to an out of warranty, do they know how to work on aluminium? Yeah. Do they use a torch and all of a sudden melt the panel? It's scary that how some cars do get repaired in this industry. But to go back to the right of repair, it has huge potential, but it should split it.
Yeah,
it should split it. Mechanical to auto body repairers.
Auto body repairers. Because Pete, this brings me back to the age-old argument. There was an article the other day, flying around, where people were arguing about alternative parts, second-hand parts, and those kind of things. And I was flabbergasted, because the fact of the matter is the guidelines is on our doorsteps, and the guidelines is promoting alternative parts, second-hand parts, and those kind of things. But what I generally in my career, from entering into the claims advisor, all clients want original parts. So my question is just, if we've been struggling with this concept of original parts, just making clients understand that
on out of warranty cars.
Correct, yes.
Imagine doing it in warranty. No.
So that's scary, because let's talk about statistics generally. And I'm going to throw you a statistic in my head. I think vehicles under the value of 15,000 Rand damage or those kind of things, those are the majority of the cases, right? Because it's a lot of the small ones, and then the quantum obviously escalates from that, and it becomes less and less from a percentage point of view. So I have seen cars that's even brand new that has literally a scratch, and that I do agree with you. I know there's shops that's not OEM approved that can fix that thing 100%, no problem. I think there just needs to be a margin, because take that very same car and it is a structural repair. In those cases, I believe you still need to take it to the OEM, because like you rightly stated, they've got the equipment, they've got the knowledge, and they've got the experience. And what I understand from this is it's very driven on client choice. But where does that ownership of choice lie? Because the insurance contract says, we can either repair it, supplier of our choice, we can replace or pay you out cash. Those are
financed
things.
The bank has a say.
Exactly. So who's the actual owner that's got the say here?
We're waiting on that clarity. We've asked for the right to repair the Competitions Commission. I think he's meaning the owner of the car himself. The guy who drives the car is classed as the owner. But it's tricky, because like you said, we've got a lot of clients already complaining about alternative parts on out of warranty vehicles. Now they have the right to put alternative parts. I think that is more focused for the mechanical side than the auto body specialist. But again, it opens up the door that you could do certain things. But if we go back to the clauses, then the manufacturer has the opportunity to appoint his own person to null and void the warranty. So again, we'll go back to insurance. I think it's more stay along the lines. But we must encourage right to repair. Right to repair is a good thing for the industry. To go back to your part where you've said under 15,000 non-structural drivable, then if you've graded as a certain shop, you should be allowed to do non-structural stuff.
Sure.
So, I mean, Mercedes-Benz authorized one shop that's non-structural, a BE shop, and it worked very well. But they couldn't do structural work because they didn't have the equipment to do major structural. That's fine. But I think manufacturers need to look, and we're waiting on them for guidelines to say, let's move on. What can we do? What can you do to allow the right to repair to happen quicker?
Pete, I see there's signs going at us about running out of time, but I do need to sneak two things in quickly just to get your perspective on it. The same right that a client has to fit alternative parts, can a client not use this guidelines and turn around and say, my 10-year-old car, I have the right to choose original parts?
100%.
Okay.
That is the problem. It's double-sided. So if he has the right to do that, he can also ask for the right to do. Although the Ombudsman has already documented and said alternative parts can be used and classed as original.
Yeah, it just seems a bit one-sided. If you're saying I can choose second-hand parts or alternative parts, then some people might say.
Again, we could talk about this for an hour and still have no clarity. And the problem is, the top bottom, we're waiting on the manufacturers to give us their opinion, which they've been very quiet on. So we will sit and we will wait. Insurance world, and for my clients, they have said, interpret it in the spirit it's meant. We're adapting and changing how we do things.
Yes.
And we follow in the letter of the law, putting criteria on and showing our panel listing and what's needed to be on there. And going forward, 1st of July, we'll see. I'm sure there is some insurers will fall foul of it.
Exactly, and that was the last thing that I need to ask you, because this does open up the spectrum. If we say the owner, so to speak, is the insurer, if that's classified as the insurer, there's nothing under the new guidelines that would stop an insurer from taking a brand new car that's just involved in an accident off the dealership floor and taking it to any shop to repair it.
Any shop to repair and put an alternative or second hand. I disagree with that. I mean, that's where the policy document, and I think you've hopped on that on another topic, where it's very important what your policy document says. But we know there's insurance companies out there that won't follow the rules. My biggest concern is when we look at warranties of cars, do we look at the manufacturer warranties or do we look at motor plans, which is uniquely a South African thing?
Yeah.
It's not everywhere in the world you get 8 years and 150,000 service plan. So do we look at the 2-year true warranty of the vehicle, or do we look at the 5 years, or 6 years, or 8 years?
Okay. I can interpret there's some message underlying in that thing. But guys, as you can see, I think Peter and myself can have a conversation pertaining to this topic for more than an hour, as was the case with our other experts. Having said that, Peter, I want to commend you on the way you guys are tackling it. I think we need to have a look at, you know, as an industry, how will this impact us and how can we accept it? Because fundamentally, the intent is good.
Yes.
It's just the playing out of it and the unclear guidelines that there is that can cause for concern on both sides of the fence.
And interpretation of sense terms. Perfect.
Thank you very much, Pete.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.